Driver's ed was a crazy experience for me. Not only was I 15 at the time, but the only class that they had happened to be at my rival high school, Union. Now, our two high schools really did not like each other. And in this class, driver's ed class that I took, I happened to be the only one from Camas. I tried to obviously hide my identity so no one would know. But of course, after school, about twice a week, I would go to those classes and do my best to learn how to be a good driver. Now, driver's ed was very boring and very not fun, kind of like some classes here at college. But there was one particular day where I got out of driver's ed and I did not have a phone at the time, so I called my family and left a message. And I told them that I was done and I was ready to be picked up. So I waited outside for my family. And I waited for 10 minutes and most of the kids got picked up. There's a few left. And then I kept waiting. And I waited for another 20 minutes. By this time, I happened to be the only kid waiting. And then 30 minutes went by, and I was still sitting outside next to the curb waiting for someone to pick me up. Now at this point, I had the thought of possibly walking home. I was thinking, did my parents just forget that I was done with driver's ed and they weren't going to come get me? But at the same time, I also thought, if I walked home, they might come as soon as I left and then wonder where I was since I didn't have a phone. This was a huge dilemma. And so I decided that the best option for me was to keep waiting. So I waited. 40 more minutes went by. 50 minutes went by. Finally, 60 minutes, and I see our old tan truck with my older brother in it pull up and pick me up. Now, of course, he apologized, and so did my parents. And I forgave them because they've done other things in my life that have shown their love and their compassion, and that mistakes happen. And in society, a lot of people neglect certain responsibilities. They may not make priorities to be to places on time, to make time for others. This is a statistic by Forbes that shows how often Americans are late for work. As you can see up here on the side, there's probably about a 60 to 65% chance that Americans are never late. On this end, you can see that about 5 to 6% are always late. And that's important to work on time, specifically because if you aren't, you may lose your job and lose money. There are consequences. Consequences that will happen to you if you neglect your time and don't show them as a priority. But in our lives, there are certain things, like a job, that we need to be making time for that don't necessarily have consequences we can see. For instance, maybe spending more time with our family. If we neglect our family, we may not be able to see the consequences of those actions until later on in life. This is one of my favorite quotes by Mandy Hale. It says, "A person being too busy is a myth. People make time for the things that are really important to them." I really like this because it's true. If we think that we are too busy for other people, we are kidding ourselves. And also, the things that we make important in our lives, we make time for. If you think everyone who has attended this class They are here today, maybe to hear my speech, maybe to hear others' speeches, but those specifically in this class know that they get a grade for being here. And they have set aside an hour and 30 minutes every week to make this class a priority. That should mean that they are showing this class is important to them in their schedule. There are many things in life that we need to make time for, that deserve a greater importance. Now, of course, no one is perfect. And to go back to my story, my family did mess up on that day. But they've certainly made it up through attending all my youth sports games. I don't think I remember a day that went by where neither my dad or my mom wasn't in the stands cheering me on, thanking me for how good I did, even though I was not the best athletic player. What can you make time for? Maybe it's improving talents. This one can be big, especially for me, because at a young age, I neglected my piano responsibilities. Many of you can probably relate. I neglected these responsibilities and therefore lost that talent. But time is not over. I can still improve and work upon that talent. Taking 30 minutes every day out of my day is not that big of a deal. Family. This is huge. Family should be the number one priority in our lives that we make time for. Really, we're going to be at our happiest, hopefully, when we're with our families. And even if we didn't come from perfect families, we can create those perfect families in the future. And it is very important to spend time with our future kids once we have those kids. Service opportunities. A lot of times, people neglect to serve others. They use the excuse again of being too busy. Well, if we serve others, we are going to feel better. And a lot of times we get served from others, and we need to return the favor. Service really is being there for others and helping them out when needed. It doesn't have to be a big thing. And then friends and neighbors. It is important to be nice and friendly to our neighbors and our friends, to also make time for them, to show them that we're there for them if they need be. Maybe in the future, we bring them cookies or some dessert to let them know that we're in the neighborhood and we're thinking about them. But it is important that our decisions impact the time we have. At college, we oftentimes find ourselves very busy. And we're only busy because of the choices we made to sign up for those classes that would commit most of our time. And I'm not suggesting that college or work is a bad thing. It is good and necessary for us to gain an education and to work. But we still have at least a little bit of time to spend benefiting others, helping others, being there for someone. No one should ever feel like I did that fateful day, wondering if someone was going to come. We need to be there for them. The great philosopher Ed Sheeran. He has a lot of wisdom, but specifically on this topic, he said, "Just remember, life is more than just fitting in your jeans." Isn't that so true? Thank you.